So long, Mom, I'm off to drop the bomb, so don't wait up for me. But though I may roam, I'll come back to my home, although it may be a pile of debris. Remember, Mommy, I'm off to get a commie, so send me a salami and try to smile somehow. I'll look for you when the war is over, an hour and a half from now.
The Enclave in Fallout 3 was one of the most boring villains I have ever seen. With the exception of giving the player a modified FEV strain that they want you to put in the Project Purity Purifier, I don't remember the Enclave doing anything bad the entire game. Isn't that a major part of storytelling? Showing the bad guys do something bad so we don't like them? And the thing is, unless you knew their definition of mutant from Fallout 2, and after a full game of dealing with obnoxious super mutants from the DC ruins, their attempt to get rid of mutants might not seem so bad. For those of you who don't know, the Enclave's definition of mutant is anybody with any exposure to background radiation. Basically, if you haven't been born in a vault or an Enclave facility, the Enclave wants to end you. For that matter, I'm not sure they would consider the Vault Dweller to be human. After all the time he spent outside of Vault 13, he might have had some tiny level of mutation that would make the Enclave want to exterminate him. Anyway, besides their very Warhammer 40k foreign policy, who are the Enclave? They're the primary antagonists of Fallouts 2 and 3, and they're a side faction in New Vegas, so obviously they're important to Fallout's developers. Most of our reliable information about the Enclave actually comes from President Dick Richardson, leader of the Enclave in Fallout 2. Maybe he's a complete liar, but I assume he's at most exaggerating rather than lying. Best I can tell, the Enclave was a shadow organization within the pre-war U.S. government, with some tendrils wrapped around major U.S. corporations. With the incredible resources at their disposal, they built a series of bunkers throughout the country. When the war with China seemed like it was very definitely giving end-of-the-world vibes, the Enclave, their leadership, their scientists, and their military retreated to safety, with the main leadership on an oil rig to the west of California. After a while of getting their bearings, the Enclave was able to start actual technology research. This makes them easily the most technologically advanced faction in the wasteland. The only group that's close is the Brotherhood of Steel, but the Brotherhood's most advanced toys tend to be U.S. Army standard gear from before the bombs fell. If President Richardson isn't exaggerating, the U.S. and their T-51B power armor managed to push all the way to Beijing. While I suspect Dick would say anything that fits in the theme of, well, the U.S. did have a distinct advantage in the Alaska campaign with their more advanced armor technology, so the fighting was probably happening in at least eastern Russia when the bombs flew. It also seems that the Enclave had ties to Vault Tech, because it's heavily implied that Vault 8, which became Vault City, received its all-clear signal from them. Apparently they didn't keep tabs on them once opened, because Vault City does not receive any special treatment from the Enclave. They're just as much mutants as the Master's army of, well, mutants.
China got the bomb, but have no fears. They can't wipe us out for at least 5 years. Who's next?